Hey there, fabulous ladies. Welcome to Bring Back Your Pink, where we celebrate the fabulousness of midlife and beyond. I am Jen B, your host, your biggest fangirl and impact-driven entrepreneur living my biggest and boldest life, so you can too. Get ready to leave behind societal expectations and embrace a life filled with laughter, joy, and endless possibilities. So stand tall, turn up the volume, and let's dive into the world of living life in full color. Together, we'll rediscover the power of being unapologetically ourselves, and we will release our inner vibrancy, and together we will bring back our pink. Let's make every moment count, girls. Hello, beautiful lady, and welcome to episode 5 of Bring Back Your Pink. Today, I am so excited to have Ondina here with me. Ondina is a leadership coach who helps her clients gain self-awareness, master communication, mature in confidence, and more. With her coaching, she focuses on personal development and has realized that confidence is the number one reason our development is held back. Her belief is confidence will emerge from clarity, persistence, and the courage to hold on to your dream. Her approach is to help people see where they are at today and provide the awareness, tools, and skills they need to fulfill their full potential. Ondina has been in business for herself since she was 21 and has reinvented herself a number of times. And I am so delighted that that is what we're going to be chatting about today, because you do know I love a good reinvention story. So welcome, Ondina. Thank you so much for giving up your time this afternoon to be here with me.
Oh, Jen, thanks for having me. This is very exciting. And I just love your podcast name, Bring Back Your Pink. I think it's fantastic. And I wish you all the very, very high success with it. And I'm sure you have a lot of followers on that too.
Thank you. I've been having a lot of fun with it. Like I as I was just saying, I mean, so just a bit of background. Ondina and I have been in a mastermind together for like nearly 3 years now, I think it is.
3 years, yeah.
So we've known each other for a little bit of time. And Tina Tower, our coach, always talks about podcasts. And, you know, over the years has gently nudged me many a time to actually have my own podcast. I'm like, no, I don't have a podcast in me. And yet, yes, here we are with a podcast. So you will be next, Ondina. You will be next.
I will be next.
Yes.
I will be next. Between now and December, I will have a podcast.
You will reinvent yourself to that podcast, to have that podcast. But
that's it.
When we were in Port Douglas together just recently, you were telling a story about reinvention. And that's why I'm so excited to have you on here today, because you have reinvented yourself and what you do a number of times. And you started back in business when you were 21 years old. I mean, that's amazing. That's so young to even know that, you know, you want to have your own business. Tell us a bit about that. I'm really excited for everyone to hear.
Well, Jen, when I was 21, I was a single mum with a 5-year-old, and I could not survive on a salary, on a wage back then. I think my wage was about $126 a week.
Oh my gosh.
It was crazy. And I knew that I wouldn't survive on a wage. I didn't want to survive on a wage. I wanted to have a career, but not a career as we talk about careers today. But I wanted to have a method of being able to go into my business and my own business so that I had more control. So I went to Sydney and trained with Madame Corner for 6 months and became a skincare therapist. And I was working part-time and working at home doing treatments and getting some extra income. And then I had the opportunity to buy the one and only salon in the city in Darwin, the one and only. And my parents helped me by mortgaging their house, would you believe, trusting me. And I paid that loan off in 2 years. I was very when I say lucky, I don't mean I was lucky because it went well. I knew how to work hard. I come from a European background. My parents are Italian, and we had to work. We had to work on the property that we grew up on an orchard. And, there was no fun stuff until the work was done. And so I had a really good ethic. I really knew how to work hard. But I didn't, even though I had a sense of how to run a business, I really didn't know how to run a business back then. I just made money, paid my bills. If there was some left over, fantastic. But it was the only way that I could look after my daughter and I at that time, because there was no one else there to look after me and say, it's okay, here you are, I'll look after you. So my first foray into running my own business was survival.
Yep. That's actually
survival.
Yep, I hear you there. That's not my, I was a lot older when that happened, but yes, when I, went into really truly running my own business, it was a survival thing. And it's amazing what we can do to survive, isn't it?
Yes. What I did know, Jen, when I first started my business, was that if I looked after my clients really, really well, gave them every bit of me that I could, the money would come. And it did. It did. I was able to buy my first home.
Wow.
I was able to buy a new car. I was able to take care of my daughter and I by the time I was 25. And so, and I loved what I did. I absolutely loved what I did. I trained in skincare. I was good in skincare. And in 1981, I actually moved to Canberra. And that's where I really hit my straps, in Canberra.
Okay.
Where I opened my first skincare salon. And that was, I painted everything, I wallpapered everything, I had someone make my beds, everything was kind of fell into place. I think it cost me about $7,000 all up to open my first salon. You wouldn't hear about it now. It'd be 107 or 207 or, it would be crazy.
That's amazing. $7,000. Oh my gosh. Yes. It takes you back, doesn't it? So how many salons did you end up with in Canberra?
3. I had 3 salons in the end, Belcon and Manuka and the city. And I had 17 staff in the end.
Wow.
And that was a big learning curve in itself.
Oh, yes. Managing people is not an easy thing. How long did you have the salons for?
I had the salons for 19 years. And the way that I did, the way that I was able to open the second and third was back in the 90s, like coaching wasn't it?
No.
It wasn't something that everybody did. But I met my first coach at a conference, an industry conference, and I listened to what he was talking about and the percentages and how much rent are you paying and how much money are you putting in the bank and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I have no idea. I just know that I do what I do. And when I had him for 2 years.
Yeah.
He taught me about running a business. But the hardest thing was, he said, you've got to stop working and you've got to start running your business, managing your business. And I'm like, my clients won't go to anyone else. And he said, put your ego in your pocket and start managing your business. And it was really hard. It was really, really hard. But I tripled my business in 3 years by teaching my team to do my job better than I could. And that's why I'm so passionate about teaching people who have a business and a team, that the more you can do and look after your team and teach them and show them the way that you want things done, the better your business will always be.
Absolutely. it's interesting because you do, like, I know myself, as someone that goes to the hairdresser weekly, you like a certain person, you know what I mean? Like, you want someone there to do your hair, and it's really interesting. Other people don't, because they get to know you, and they get to know your hair, and it's really tough to move on to somebody else. So well done. Like, that's such a great thing. And if anyone out here is listening that has a business, this is a great tip. Train your staff to do it better than you do, because then they can always go to a staff member. That's amazing. And then you were down there, well, with that for 19 years. And then
yes. And then I went to a conference, and there was a whole lot of things that happened, and I thought to myself, I need to get into a business where it's not so labor intensive. Like 17 staff. I had 17 staff, and I thought there's got to be something easier. So I went into the fashion industry, and I bought this tiny little boutique. Cost me next to nothing, but I bought the stock. And I was used to working by appointment, and I suddenly realized I was standing in a shop waiting for people to come in.
uh-huh.
Oh, this is for the birds. And so I opened the first appointment only fashion studio for executive women who had money to spend but had no time. So they would come to me. I bought European fashion, and they would come to me and shop, and instead of spending 15 minutes, 20 minutes buying something, we were together for 3 hours.
Uh-huh.
And I did the same thing. I taught, we'd sit down and have a chat. What do you need? Try this, and I think all my life, Jen, I've taught women to do something. Mm-hmm. So I taught them how to take care of their skin, put on makeup so it looks really natural and lovely, and be proud of how they look. Then, they came to me the same client came to me to be dressed. Not the same, not all the same, but a lot of them came to me. And I taught them how to put themselves together externally, how to mix and match, how to, not buy one piece of something and not know what to put it with, and did lots of wardrobe audits and sorted all that out. And I taught them how to really be ready to get dressed easily, because a lot of my clients had no time. They had children. A lot of them became unwell because of the high anxiety and the stress load that they had in their jobs. But it was the best time of my life working with them and with beautiful, beautiful fashion. And we created a studio that was off the street, and, these powerful women would come in the evening when they'd finished work, and, they might have been dealing with some high profile person. Well, when they got their clothes off and they're running around in their lingerie, they turned into little girls, It was like, let's have some fun here. But it was great. There was always a bottle of champagne open. There was always a cheese plate around. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was so rewarding. And my love for fashion to this day is like, yeah, probably is. Some of the things that I see out there that are so expensive now, I don't, it's not for me to judge what's right and what's not right. But it was a lot of fun. And I did that up until 2008-9, because when the GFC hit, the global financial crisis, my clients actually stopped buying because they were frightened that they wouldn't have a job.
I can imagine.
So that was a very scary time. Very scary time.
But going right back to the beginning. So beautician to fashion, what I mean, you said you wanted to get into something that was a little less, not time intensive, but like, that you could do with not so much like on your feet yourself type thing. What made you choose fashion?
Oh, Jen, I'm Italian.
Okay.
I love fashion. I love a good frock. I love a beautiful quality. Um, I've always loved. I used to make my own clothes when I was much younger, but when I had more time. But I just love seeing beautiful things that are in harmony and balance, and good quality, and when women. I learned very quickly that that confidence part of a woman, when she puts something on that she feels good in, not only does she stand differently, she has a different expression on her face. Her whole demeanor changes. And I watched that happen over and over, but I also learned that what I see in the mirror is not what they see.
Oh, Ondina, 100%. I'm your,
Absolutely.
walking, talking example of that.
Yeah. And
I always say,
it's really interesting that, a lot of fashion places fall down in terms of service, because when you understand and look at the body language of the other person, it's not up to us to tell them whether they look good or not. They have to feel that.
You've got to feel it inside. And, it is irrelevant. This is something I've learned over my journey over the last couple of years. It's irrelevant what people say to you. If you don't believe it inside, you don't believe it. It is really irrelevant. They can praise you all they like and say you look amazing, you look fabulous. You don't see that. Doesn't matter what they say. It truly doesn't, and so it's interesting that you're too, where we at now, like the beautician, making them, because, we all love, you go, you have a wonderful facial, and then the fashion, which, also makes us feel good. So really, you're supporting women. Like, that's what it all comes down to. Even your third iteration of what you've done, it's all about supporting women and helping them feel amazing and, feel amazing within themselves. That's pretty cool. So you can see I can see a common thread through these inventions or reinventions.
Well, sometimes life throws you a bit of a boomerang. It's like what goes around comes around. You sort of go, okay, so now what do I do? And it was heartbreaking for me, because I'd made a decision to no longer order, because I used to have to order 12 months out.
Oh yes, I can imagine.
So it took me another 12 months to kind of finalize everything in terms of the fashion industry. But when you have someone that says, 20 people, 30 people start saying, oh, I'm not buying this season, and you've just taken delivery of $240,000 worth of stock, you think, what the hell? And so I found myself walking around in a bookshop going, something, please jump out at me. I need to do something. And a book called Brand You popped out. I read it. I created a workshop. I realized where the pain was, and that was women were frightened of losing their jobs. And I created a workshop, a 2-hour workshop for $100, redeemable on purchase. I had to flip everything around. And people came and they spent money and they bought some clothes. And I was like, oh my God, thank you, God. And sometimes out of a really terrible situation, something else blossoms up. You have to believe and kind of, not give up.
Look, that's it. That's it exactly. And always, I guess the thing, you've always got to be sort of thinking, how can I not do this better, but, how can I flip the script? I say, how can I change what is not working and, make it better? And, I think you're a lot like that. Obviously, just listen, you're very resilient, and very resourceful as well, to be able to do, to even harking back to 21 and, coming down to Sydney to learn and going back to Darwin, That's an amazing story, an amazing story of resilience and strength,
Well, the thing that I remember back then is I never thought in my mind that I couldn't do something. Because, like, when I say something, once I put my mind to something, I didn't have thoughts of, oh my God, I'm going to fail. Because really, if I worked hard, back then, if I worked hard, if I did everything for my client that I could, they will keep coming. They will keep coming back to me. And I guess if that's called resilience, that's what it is. And what I realised in my third transition when I went to study to become a coach is that transition can happen at any age.
Absolutely.
Don't put roadblocks in front of yourself at
100%.
any age.
I actually have a couple of questions that I was going to ask at the end, and one of them is there ever a point, which it is too late to reinvent yourself? And I'm like, here's you and me, both sitting here. I'm 55. I'm not sure if you want to divulge your age to my listeners.
Well, I've just turned 67.
Exactly.
And I feel like I'm 55.
You look like you're 55, just quietly. But
I went through a period where I wasn't well, and I healed myself through food. And if we take responsibility, what ages people? Stress.
Yes.
Not having clarity. Not taking care of themselves. And, that voice in your head.
Oh, yes.
That voice in your head.
Voice in your head.
Unhealthy voice in your head that tells you can't when you can, actually. You just have to decide.
So I think, the thing is, it's never too late, though, is it? It's never too late to reinvent yourself. You probably heard me say this many a time. You're never too old, and it's never, ever too late for new adventures. And that's why I was so keen to get you on too, because, in your, from the sounds of it, I'd say in your mid-40s, reinvented yourself into the fashion industry, which just sounds like it was the most beautiful experience for you and for your ladies. And then you've reinvented yourself this third time into a coach. And I know you love what you do. So, this is the whole thing, girls, for you, any of you listening out there, it's never, ever too late for you to be able to change what you're doing. If it doesn't light you up, think of something new. Honestly, it can be done, and it can be done at any age. So let's talk about going into the coaching.
Well, going into the coaching really was to save myself again.
This is the thing, though.
This is the thing, what's that saying that people have out there? When something throws you this, when someone throws you lemons, you make lemonade, or something like that.
I actually say you add it to tequila, but that's me.
Well, that's it too.
But that's the same, yeah.
Too. But when I was diagnosed with arthritis, and I grieved losing my business. I grieved that for some time. And I moved to Sydney to be with my husband, and I was very sad. And I got sick of being sad, because I'm not a sad person.
No.
And the opportunity to go and do some coaching training came up. And the first thing that they said to us was, apply to self first. And so my coaching training for the first year was apply to self first. And I realised that I could change my life again. And I could change the life of other people as well. And I had a lot of knowledge. I had run a business for a long time. I'd done all those things that people do to run a business. I'd learned incredible skills to be able to manage, to set up systems and processes that really help the business run itself. And I wanted to create my next the next phase, the transition in my life was to really apply what I've learned to helping other people. Mm-hmm. I work now with small business that has a team that you know, when a manager or a business owner doesn't get what they need from a team, then they have to look at themselves. Why? What am I not doing to help them do what they do? And so the same with managers. Managers get promoted because they're really good at what they do. But what people forget is that they have a set of behaviours over here and you know, producing their skills, the work that they've been trained to work. And all of a sudden, they're being asked to put that aside and manage people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they haven't been taught to manage people. They've been taught to do a particular job with certain behaviours and certain thinking. And so that's a whole new set of skills.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they learn those skills, they're able to manage it. And this is what some people forget that their people need. But I've lost my train of thought a bit because that was leading to something.
That's because with menopausal and brain fog kicks in. That happens to me all of the time.
Oh my goodness. Yes,
but happens to me all the time.
That's right. You were asked me why I went into the coaching world.
Yeah.
Coaching world has been the best thing ever for me. It's my third transition. As I said, you know, transition's possible at any age.
100%.
You've got to love what you do. You've got to be passionate about what you do.
Yes.
You have to practice what you do every single day so that you can be good at what you do. And, you know, if you love what you do, you're not really working.
Oh, my gosh. You know, I say that to my daughter all the time. Like, if you love what you do, you're never going to work a day in your life. And it's so true, isn't it? I mean, I just love, you know, my businesses. You know, I love this new version of what I do now. You know, it's amazing. It amazes me to think, you know, that we can help other women, you know, become something that they perhaps thought that they couldn't. And actually that leads me to the question I want to ask you, you know, what are some kind of, you know, roadblocks people face, you know, when they're reinventing themselves? And I feel like I do know what you're going to say, but I'm going to be very interested to see what you think about that. Like what would be the roadblock?
One of the roadblocks is us, obviously.
Yes. Getting in our own way all the time.
Exactly. Telling ourselves, oh, you know, who do we think we are, that whole imposter syndrome thing. But I say to my clients, you know, we all get to a point when we get to a certain age where we have to rewrite our script. We've been a mother, a wife, you know, different for different people. Not everyone's been a mother, but you go through the transitions in your life. And all of a sudden you get to a particular age and you think, so what now? So you have to, it's like writing a play. Yep. Who do you want to write out of the play? Who do you want to write into the play? What is your script? What is your story going to be in this next phase of your life? And I remember doing a retreat for some clients of mine. It was still when I was in the fashion industry, and I did it alongside with a beautiful lady called Lynette. And we rewrote our scripts. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing the difference it made to actually look at, so what do we want for this next 10, 15 years?
Mm-hmm.
You know, who are we? That's why I always say, you know, work on yourself first.
Absolutely.
Who are you? How do you want to show up for other people? How do you want to present yourself? Who do you want to be known as and what for? And as you rewrite that script, your life changes.
Absolutely. And you begin to live that script. And, you know, once you get all those, you know, negative thoughts out of the way and you get the confidence, and that was my thought, my roadblock would be, you know, that you might have said a lack of confidence in yourself.
Yes, Yes, Jen, sorry to interrupt you.
No.
A lot of people come to me in the coaching world and say, I want more confidence. You already have a lot of confidence,
Yeah.
but you're lacking confidence in one particular area. You have to identify that area and start working on that. The more you work on that, the more confidence you build.
Yeah.
So competence and confidence are a little bit of like a spinning wheel. The more confident you get at something, the more confidence you get. So it's about working out, what are you lacking confidence in?
Yes.
Like if I said to you, Jen, where would you like more confidence?
Well, I'm actually pretty good these days. However, where would have, if you'd have said this to me 18 months ago, I would have, I think I would have had to say in most areas, to be completely honest, because I was just lacking confidence in myself in general. I just wasn't enough. I was not enough. I just needed to realize that, I have the confidence to go, I am worthy. I'm a good person and I'm worthy to do what I want to do. And that was what stopped me, definitely. And realizing and learning more about myself and understanding, you've probably heard me talk about the suggestive language, understanding that those thoughts had been suggested to me. So overcoming that and having the confidence to overcome and just like kick those suggestive thoughts out the door. It is a really interesting thought because, so many people don't have confidence in themselves. But then when you say, where would you like more confidence? You go, oh, I don't know.
Well, that's why I started a program called the Power to Self-Mastery.
Yeah.
Or I would like to rather rename that as the path to self-mastery, because we're always improving ourselves. And when I do that, it starts with self-awareness. Like, we need to be self-aware. We need to know how we show up. We need to know when we're present. We need to understand our language. Then it's about understanding our values, looking at what is important to us, because that changes as we change.
Of course it does.
Because we self-actualize into the person that we want to be. But understanding our values and how we live our values, they're not just words on a piece of paper. They're verbs. What are you doing when you're practicing that? And then it's about, living your life intentionally, not just getting up in the morning and flopping into the day and going, oh, what do I have to do today? Being intentional. This is what I'm going to do today. This is what I want to achieve today. This is, not that's, it's not a task-orientated intention. It's like, how do I want to feel? How do I want to be? How do I want to show up for others today? Being intentional about things. Understanding how we influence others.
Yes.
You can have a conversation. Someone can be influenced by your podcast. We don't know that, but they do. And that may influence them to do something themselves. So I'm always aware of that we influence without really realizing that we influence. How are we influenced? I talk about accountability and responsibility to ourselves, not to other people, but to ourselves. What do we say we're going to do that we let ourselves down in? And then how to communicate and build relationships. We're relating. We're a relating species. We live for relationships. We live for connection.
We do. We crave it. Like we crave connection. And I think that's a tough thing at the moment is, we're also coming out of COVID where, the in-person connection as well was just so lacking, of course. And we've almost forgotten how to do it in some ways, when you go out and about, like people don't tend to talk to each other now. Well, I do, but that's because I talk to everybody. And that never stopped for me. But yeah, you see people not wanting to chat. And it's quite interesting when we as humans love to connect. And, as personal brands, both of us as well, it's so important that we build businesses that connect with people because, it's one of the most important things to actually, help you get clients as well.
One of the things that I do consciously, and I think everybody should start doing this. Whenever you go to somewhere where you're receiving a service, today I was at the bank. I asked normally they would have their name on their jacket or their whatever they're wearing. And this young lady didn't. And I said, "What is your name?" And she said, "My name's Natalie." And she was really very forthcoming with her name. And we had a lovely chat. She said, "Thank you." And I said, "Thank you for your service." Same in Port Douglas. All those people that worked morning and evening, we saw them every day.
Oh, yes.
How many people asked their name? I remember Lauren.
Yep, I was going to say Lauren. Yes, I found out their names because their service was so amazing.
It was, but not a lot of people do that. And so, you've got to give to receive.
Of course.
So when you connect with people, ask people their name.
Yep.
Speak to them like human beings, because why do they have these signs everywhere saying, be respectful to our team, to our staff? Because people have lost the ability to, I don't know, just be courteous and kind.
Yeah.
The more courteous and kind that you are to others, the more people will be the same to you. It's if you want respect, you have to earn it.
100%. So just if somebody is reinventing themselves or thinking of doing it, what advice would you give someone that's, feeling really overwhelmed and anxious and thinking like, oh no, I just can't do that. No, like I've reached a certain age and this is just my lot in life now. What advice would you give them?
What advice would I give them? I would suggest that they write down a whole lot of things that they love. Writing has always been a big thing for me in terms of writing in a journal. I don't write a journal every single day, but when I want to get clarity on something, I really do write. Excuse me. You're only going to be able to listen to your thoughts and get some clarity when you're still. You're never going to be able to do that when you're busy doing. Because your mind will not rest. When do you make your best choices? When do you come up with your greatest ideas? In the shower, when you're on holiday,
when
you're relaxed. You let your mind, you let your mind rest. And when you start to shut out all that noise, all that, all the news and all those things that influence our mind, shut all that noise out and just start to think about what it is that you want in your life. The answers will come, but if you don't ask the question, or you don't know what the question is, get some help.
Absolutely.
Talk to somebody, talk to a life coach, talk to a coach on your career, or, just talk to someone and start thinking about what it is that, start from where you are. What have I got now? What would I like to have? And if you can't kind of think about that, then maybe it's just time to go for a walk, pause, and ask yourself that question. Because when you take the time to intentionally ask that question, that saying, just sleep, I'll sleep on that.
Yeah, it's such a good saying because, you do need to. And the thing is, I think, we do get stuck in, a rut. And then we go, well, we can't get out of that. Like we can't,
not on our own.
Yeah, not on our own. And I mean, sometimes it takes like a life-changing event, i.e. for me being made redundant, to go, oh, okay, well, that's wasn't expected, but here's this opportunity. And having those things that happen to you, they do make you think differently. And surrounding yourself with people that are amazing and uplifting and positive as well, helps tremendously. But yeah, it all starts with us, doesn't it? We're the only ones that can make the change. And again, you're never too old and it's never too late to make those changes.
And if I had a final thing to kind of say, I mean, my superpower at the moment is doing my yoga in the morning. Why? And it's not just the exercise, it's the fact that you have to breathe and move slowly. And you connect your mind and your heart and your body. So a lot of people today, with all the noise and information that's around, have such a busy mind, and it's all in your head. Everything's in your head.
Mm-hmm.
You got to drop down into your heart and your body and listen. That's why I say let's pause now. It's a new financial year. We're all in business. What do we want?
That's it. We've got the clean slate for the next, what are we going to plan for the next 12 months?
Yeah, but you're not going to be able to get that answer from yourself if you're just going to be noisy and active and doing. You just have to be.
Yep, you've got to stop and reflect.
Pause. You've got to pause, kind of rewrite your script. What do you want?
Yeah.
You might not know straight away. You might not know, but it'll come.
You often don't. I mean, honestly, I look back to, last year, I never thought that I needed to change until, it was, I had the brain epiphany or the brain explosion, learning about something. And sometimes these things just, blow up in front of you and you go, right, okay, well, here's an opportunity. But, you have to stop and think. I had to go away and think about, what had happened, how did it affect my life, and how could I now change now that I knew, and you can't do that if you've got all that noise in your head.
I could tell you so many things, but I know that the time is short. But my biggest advice, Jen, would be if you can't work it out on your own because, we've got a busy mind and we've got busy lives, then get someone that you can talk to.
100%. Just brainstorming even, just chatting, brainstorming. I would never have figured out all these things by myself. No way. Get someone to help you because it's good to have that objective ear.
Absolutely. A lot of the women that I talk to through my coaching come to me because they're frustrated with their career, their life, and what they always come to me, the problem they come to me with is never really the problem.
No.
You scratch the surface, it's something else, and that's okay. That's why coaching is such a great tool to get clarity, because when you ask yourself the same questions, you answer them the same way you always do. But someone else will kind of see it very differently.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And on that note, we've just about run out of time. Thank you so much for coming on. Where can the ladies that are listening find you? We'll all be in the show notes, girls, as well. But where can they find you, Ondina?
Well, my website is ondina.com.au, and on Instagram, it's just Coach with Ondina. There's links in there that take you to other places, but I'm very happy for my email to be in your show notes. If anyone does want to have a 30-minute chat, very happy to chat.
Fantastic. So here's cheers to, being never too old, never too late, and for us continuing to pursue our dreams.
Absolutely.
No matter what our age. So thank you, girls. That is a wrap for today. Until we meet again in the next episode, do not forget to stay pink, girls, because life is far too short to be faded. I'll catch you next time. Thanks, Ondina.
Thank you, Jen.
Hey, ladies, I created this podcast because I know we need more of it to help us bring back our pink and live our best lives. But guess what? We can't do this alone. So if you loved this episode, let's spread the word. Share it on your socials, send it to a friend, and don't forget to write us a review. By doing this, you become part of the movement to bring back your pink and inspire others to do the same. I'm incredibly grateful to have you in my world as we live life in full color and become our authentic selves. Together, we're unstoppable. Let's keep rocking and bringing back the pink.